Alright, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to talk more Watchmen. We're on Season 1, Episode 3. The episode just aired, so full spoilers if you haven't seen this episode, because, yeah, we're playing it anyway. So, a few things, though. Okay, now that I'm all caught up, and I've gotten to see and hear some of the other opinions out there, I'm trying to understand why there's so much hate going on online for this show. I've listened to some people that I respect, some people that I don't respect as much, some people that I know who have agendas of their own who claim this show has agendas. And they're talking about this being woke, talking about white man bad. I have my own problems with this kind of thing that they're talking about. Like with Star Wars, things like that, and the Mary Sue issue that's going on there, and things like that. I get sometimes this is a true thing. But not everything out there that does something that's topical, that deals with things that are, volatile situations in this world, like racism. They're not all trying to throw some sort of agenda at you. They're telling a story. And I feel like a lot of these people, my camera's getting all out of focus, are missing the point. And I don't think they even they're either misunderstanding the book on purpose or they never understood the book. The book covers all these types of difficult themes. This isn't just about World War III in Watchmen. There is stories about our heroes and racism in that, and about gender politics and about being gay and all sorts of things that are in that book. There's a ton of things going on in the Watchmen book, and this was in the 80s. So they're covering something a little more what appears to be on the nose, which is about racism, about how the cops all have in Tulsa can all wear masks, which leads the racist people in Tulsa to wear their own masks, and it's Rorschach's mask. And so I think some people are getting mad about that. Like, they're making Rorschach. They're taking our Rorschach and they're ruining our Watchmen. And that's the other thing, is that Rorschach, if you ask Alan Moore, was not a hero. He was more of a villain. We get this attachment to Rorschach, and believe me, I like Rorschach as a character. I do. I really do. But, because he's like the Batman character, he's there to ask the tough questions. Notice how he sounds like Christian Bale's Batman in the movie? I think then you got the people that just have it out for Damon Lindelof. And I got my own issues with Damon Lindelof sometimes. Yeah, I hated the end of Lost. He also made The Leftovers, which was a fantastic show. And yeah, sure, maybe he shouldn't be involved in things like Star Trek and other things that you feel he's ruining. People that feel like he just destroyed Lost. There are people out there that are, complaining about this, that have their own big YouTube channels, that wear masks themselves, that complain about this show, that don't like Lindelof. Listen to how they talk about him. This show was going to fail in their eyes, even if, it killed them. They had already made up their minds that this was going to suck. And I had my doubts, too, going into this show. I really, really, really did. I waited practically 3 weeks before I even watched the first episode because I wasn't sure. I was on the fence about watching it. But I finally decided that I was going to decide for myself before I let a bunch of people tell me what this show is and would I enjoy this show and is this like what people are saying it is. And I think that there's the hatred of this show is a mixture of a whole lot of different things. But I don't see anything really being woke here. I don't see any social justice warrior crap. I don't see any pushing an agenda of hate the white man, because these days it's all about hating the white man. I don't think Damon Lindelof set this in Tulsa because of the race riot that happened in 1921, so that it would be like part of some agenda. And if he did, he's not doing a very good job of it then, because it's not. All it made me realize was something terrible that happened in 1921 that nobody really talks about. And that this city is like a test case a little bit for the cops. That's one thing that's interesting in this, is that this cops wearing masks thing isn't nationwide or anything. This is Tulsa's thing. And while other cities are thinking about it, nobody has done it yet. So I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with people. This is a well-acted show. This is a well-produced show. This show is fantastically produced. It's got a really great budget. It can... If you don't like it because it's not a direct sequel, like if all your favorite characters aren't, the main characters, of the first couple of episodes anyway, because Adrian Veidt's, one of the main characters in this. Dr. Manhattan's on Mars. Rorschach's never coming back. I mean, he's the comedian, But we do get what I think is the best episode so far. I mean, if people wanted one of their precious characters back, well, we got it here in spades. And there was a line that, some people are probably going to attack, saying, like, it's not the 1980s, nobody gives a shit about Rorschach anymore. I know people are going to misinterpret that line and be like, see, that's how they're destroying our characters. So they decide right out the gate that they're not going to like this show. And I'm sorry that I'm talking about this, but I've been listening to this for a while, and this show is not perfect. This show has flaws, but it does not deserve this kind of level of hatred it's getting. It should have a reaction from you, because Watchmen the book still gets reactions out of people. So they want to get that same kind of feeling from this new show. Otherwise, what's the damn point? Just so you can sit there with, jerking off to Watchmen poor, like, oh my god, I can't believe they got that character back. Ooh, I've been waiting 30 years. Wow, I'm starting to feel like the old me again. Not everybody's going to like that. I want to also bring up the awesome score that I have not talked about to this show by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Now, I mean, I can say that maybe Trent Reznor doesn't always let his music be in the best stuff, Black Mirror meets Miley Cyrus, for one thing. But the score in that's something else. But Trent Reznor's music, again, that score is solid as hell. And for everybody that's been wanting a character, Laurie Blake is back. And I'm digging the heck out of her, because she's played brilliantly by Jean Smart. Another great female performance on this show. Jean Smart has been killing it, for a while. If you look at some of the things she's been doing in the last 10 years, like Fargo and Legion, and now this, all the different movies she's done, she's, like, from Designing Women, man, who in Designing Women still has a career like Jean Smart's? She nails it. She is a character that has gone through so much in that book, and if you want to say the movie, whatever, think about what that character went through, and after all these years, she would change. So if anybody's going to complain, oh, then they destroyed Laurie's character. If you knew that Adrian Veidt dropped a giant squid on New York, Dr. Manhattan, and Night Owl, and everybody had to go along with it to save everybody in the world, your life would change too. You might have a harder look at vigilantism yourself. So anyway, We start this episode where she is talking to Dr. Manhattan over these weird phones. Okay, so apparently Dr. Manhattan is reachable through these phones. You have to have a code. There's also a platinum membership, so probably can't talk very long if you don't have that kind of membership. And she tells him this joke, and I like that how this joke goes full circle. About the 3 heroes that go up to heaven. And she slowly gives this story back. And let's just get that joke out of the way. The Night Owl says, I didn't kill anybody. You're too soft. Go to hell. Ozymandias goes up to God, says, I saved humanity, killed 3 million people. And no, I'm not a monster. Snaps his fingers, goes to hell. Blue God, who can do anything. God doesn't even bother asking, like, well, why didn't you ask me if, you're going to hell? He goes, because I already am, because I'm here. Snap. Goes to hell. God sees the girl. And the beginning of this joke, she purposely mistells a joke, or you think she's mistelling a joke about this thing that she built, that she learned from her father, but there was one brick left, and she says, well, hey, wait a minute, and throws the brick up in the air, and then says, oh, wait, I screwed up the joke. And the girl is in heaven, and she was not noticed because she was behind the other guys. And God gets hit with that brick and dies. I know I'm not telling the joke right, but the whole thing was like, it all comes back around. And we're introduced to her. She's a hard-ass vigilante catcher. Her father was the comedian. She's lived all this stuff, and now she works as an FBI agent catching people who want to stop. And I think that she's just come to that experience in her life where she sees heroes as people who just cause more trouble. Kind of like what happened to them. That they started digging in and whatever. And there's a lot of ways you can interpret that. So she fakes this bank robbery, which was really cool. I had it for a second. I was like, oh, what is going on here? Is she really like a bad person? A bad person, good person on a show like this or in the Watchmen universe, I mean, it's all perspective. I like that. Because I've said, everybody's the hero of their own story. Also, Keen showing up to tell her that she's going to Tulsa to take over the investigation. Really convenient that he wants her to go there. We also find out that Night Owl's in jail. So he's alive. And Keen's basically saying, you helped me get the presidency. You go down there, I can pardon anybody. I can even get your owl out of the jail that he's in. So that was really interesting as well. And I can't say it enough that I really like the direction they took Laurie a lot. Because like I said, 35 years or however long the events in the book have been, it's toughened her up, but she's really funny. And she's hard as nails. And she's been through it. So you can't call her like some Mary Sue. I like that she calls Looking Glass's pod a racist detector. I like that the hotel she's staying in is called the Black Freighter Hotel for the comic book within the Watchmen comic book. Also, there's a little interesting fact that the cemetery where Judd's being buried, it has the word Tartarus in its title. And in biblical terms and stuff, a Tartarus is a place of torment in the afterlife. So their cemetery is literally named after basically hell. They're in hell. If you're in there, you're in hell. Speaking of little things that you notice like that, if anybody else catches any Easter eggs, put them in the comment section and let us know anything that you caught. Because this show has a ton of them. Too many to even be able to count. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to watch the show with any kind of enjoyment at all, because I'm trying to figure out my review as I'm watching it. But when they get to the funeral and the Rorschach, the guy, the 7th Cavalry guy that has the Rorschach mask on, has dug a tunnel. There's a tunnel into the cemetery. This already stinks to high heaven. How did they know that this was all going to happen? How did they know? Because it would take a while to dig. Now, they said something about drills and things like that, but seriously, I think this is all a setup. Remember, Will Reeves told Angela that this conspiracy would blow her mind, that there's something else going on here. And I think that Keene is setting this all up for the presidency. He's made this whole thing a powder keg to shine the light on him to something that he's doing. And remember, Judd's wife worked for the senator in his campaign. What better way to do all of this than to marry a guy who used to maybe be not such a good guy? Or maybe his ancestors weren't such good people? It stinks to high heaven, and I'm calling it right now. I think that the easy explanation is that Judd is secretly a bad guy, but really it's his wife and Keene, and they're wanting the presidency, and they're doing something here. Which makes me again go like when we shoot over to Ozymandias, old Adrian Veidt, still feel really out of place here. This is enjoyable, but again, they keep asking more questions. They keep piling up the mystery now, because Ozymandias he's doing more experiments on his clones that he's got there. I don't know if he's trying to launch somebody into space. Because the guy he had like this suit on, this protective suit, and when we cut away, we don't see what happened, but the guy's basically frozen from the inside out. So I'm thinking that maybe this guy went into the upper atmosphere. Or he was a lot of extreme cold was brought to him. They purposely cut away, though. They keep doing that to us. Like, what's in the briefcase, man? I've never wanted to see more what's in the... Oh, wait, we do find out what's in the briefcase. I'm sorry. We do find out what's in the briefcase. Spoilers for later. But, yeah. So, he's doing more experiments. He needs a thicker skin. He goes and he hunts a buffalo, okay? I'm like, all right, fine, because he's got tomato trees. Veight's a weird, crazy dude, okay? He's not a good person either. As brilliantly as he's played by Jeremy Irons, he's not a good guy. He is up to something. I think he's trying to get to Dr. Manhattan. I think he's trying to figure out how to get to Mars. I don't know. I mean, he's using whatever he has at his means is what I'm thinking. So he goes and he shoots this buffalo, and before he can take it, somebody else shoots at him, and that guy's wearing a mask. And he gets sent a letter to his house with the black freighter symbol on it, leading me to believe maybe he's on like an island, and maybe whoever lives there, I don't know, again, mysteries, right? Please stop piling them up. But in the letter, they use the word captivity. Now, the world believes Adrian Veidt is dead. There's always going to be these mysteries. I mean, come on, some people still think Elvis is still alive, right? So, some people probably think that Hitler might be still running around. I don't know. But it leads me to believe that whatever reason he's there, he could be a prisoner, kind of like a prisoner like you would be in the old colony of Australia, which is so weird because I watched Nightingale today and it was all about the old colonial Australia. I'm thinking it's possible he's trying to escape. He's a captor. He's captured there. Way, somebody's got him there, right? Or some sort of version of this tells me that he's captured, or he's not. He doesn't really want to be there, maybe. And he busts out his old costume, which was really cool and fan servicey, but fine, good, cool. Give some of these people that are crying about how this isn't Watchmen. I like that Laurie brings up that her father had a secret compartment. They don't say who her father was, but if you read the book, you know that it's the comedian. He had a secret compartment, and so she's always checks. Again, Gene Smart, man. So now we got Regina King and Gene Smart, just both killing it on this show. And I like Angela versus Laurie, because they're both tough ladies, and they're not going to go when Angela's like, ooh, like when Laurie's trying to intimidate her. Oh, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. And so Laurie goes back to her hotel where we find out that in her briefcase is a big giant blue dildo. I mean, that thing is big. Like, wow. And she ends up just, instead of using that on herself, she goes next door and sleeps with the guy she brought with. Which makes you wonder, did she bring him with just in case? So she goes outside and she finishes like that phone call. Like, this is her leaving. You know, during this phone call, this is like after the events of the entire episode. So what we were seeing during that phone call was after the fact. And she goes out to the parking lot, and Angela's car falls from the sky, because she had said that Dr. Manhattan's never even going to hear this message. You know, you never had a sense of humor anyway. You know, when she finishes the joke about the brick coming back around and killing God. And she goes out there, and the car falls from the sky, like out of nowhere, like a brick being thrown into the air that could come down and hit you on the head and blow your brains out, just like it did to God. And she laughs because she sees the yellow brightness in the sky, and it kind of gets bigger. But I mean, it's probably just one of the people that were running the things that now in the preview for next week, we see that there are those cars that can lift things up. So it's somebody probably clearly close by that did this, but it all is very, you know, convenient that she just finishes this joke and almost gets killed by a car falling out of the sky like a brick from Mars. I loved this episode. I thought this was a great return of Laurie Blake's character. I didn't want to just see her be, you know, her heroic self again. I mean, that's all been blown up. The world has changed. The world is different. And I don't see anything, I don't see anything woke about this. This is just a solid show. And I think that Lindelof's reputation preceding him is got too many people ruffled up and not giving the show a chance. And quite frankly, when we talk about racism, right, and white man bad, well, usually in those terms about racism, yeah, it's usually the white man that's bad because historically it's the white man who's bad. And it's just unfortunate that this show, I think, is getting caught up in that whole thing of the people that are on one side or the other fighting against it, and this show is caught in the frickin' middle. So for those of you who don't like the show because it's not Watchmen 2, fine. Watch something else. Stop hating on the show, though. Or give it a chance, and maybe you'll realize that it's not as bad as you think. And to all those fake people out there that are just trying to get more reviews and more views and likes and subscribers and get more people to pay to get their comments on your super chats because Game of Thrones is over and you got nothing else to bitch about but Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy, get over yourself and find something else to talk about. Talk about Batwoman. That's a real piece of crap. Go ahead. Talk more about Star Wars, but leave this show alone. Anyway. Wow, I really am back to my old self a little bit. Bring on the dislikes. I don't give a shit. If you did like this review, please hit that like button. Comment, share, subscribe. Hit the bell for all notifications. If you are enjoying the content, please subscribe. We're in that crazy limbo of almost getting to 1,000 subscribers, so any help and support to the channel would be greatly appreciated. We're going to be back with more Watchmen next week. Tomorrow we start his Dark Materials. Hey, I remembered the title of the show. And we've also got Batman the Animated Series Episode 2, Christmas with the Joker review coming out tomorrow as well. More like a recap, more like a nostalgic look at a show that's 27 years old. So that's what's coming up tomorrow. So this is Robert Smirking Gun Review saying, have a great night. I hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.